The lights soften, the music fades in, and three players, who have fought their way through an entire game, now stand perfectly still. This is Final Jeopardy. Today's category is simple, but dangerous. Two words that carry centuries of weight, European history. You can feel the tension immediately. This category doesn't forgive guesses. It rewards precision, context, and a calm mind under pressure. The host explains the rules. 30 seconds. One clue. One response. Everything on the line. At the far end of the podium stands Allegra. She enters Final Jeopardy with $7,600. Not a runaway, but not out of it either. Her posture is focused, shoulders squared, eyes forward. She knows this is her moment. In the center is Tom Devlin, sitting at $19,000. What makes his position remarkable isn't just the score. It's how he got there. No daily doubles, no huge swings. Just consistent, steady knowledge across the board. That number hangs in the air. It's the highest score anyone has reached at this point in the game all season. A dominant performance. Controlled. Confident. Almost flawless. But Final Jeopardy has a way of humbling even the strongest players. The clue appears. The camera doesn't linger on it for long, but you can tell immediately it's not easy. It references a woman from European history. A name known to textbooks, museums, and revolutions. Some don't. You can almost hear the thoughts racing. Is this too obvious? Am I missing something? Don't overthink it. But don't underthink it either. Time runs out. The music stops. Now, the answers? We start with Allegra. She reveals her response. Who is Marie Antoinette? It's a name almost everyone knows, a symbol of excess. A queen tied forever to the French Revolution. On the surface, it makes sense. The host nods gently. I see why you would say that. But then comes the turn. It's not correct. A quiet shift in the room. Allegra's wager is revealed. She risks $6,700. That drops her to $900. A bold move. One that didn't land. Final Jeopardy always punishes certainty when certainty isn't earned. Next, we move to Tom. Remember, he's in second place with $19,000. His answer is revealed. He also wrote down, who is Marie Antoinette? Another player drawn to the most famous figure of the French Revolution. It's a classic trap when faced with a complex clue. The mind often latches onto the most familiar name. But like Allegra, Tom is incorrect. The host confirms it. Now, the big question is his wager. How much did he risk? He wagered $1,201. A strategic bet. He wanted to beat Allegra's starting total by a single dollar, just in case she got it right and bet everything. With that wager, Tom drops to $17,799. He's safe, but he's no longer in control of his own destiny. His fate now rests entirely on what our dominant leader, Scott, wrote down. All eyes turn to Scott Riccardi. $41,200. A massive lead. A seemingly untouchable position. He has been nearly perfect all game. In fact, he could wager a significant amount, get it wrong, and still walk away as the champion. This is what's known as a lock game. The tension isn't about who will, but about how much Scott will win. Did he see the trap that caught the other two players? Or did he find the correct path? His answer is revealed. It's different. A confident, clear script. Who is Madame de Stael? A collective breath is held. The host pauses for dramatic effect. Then the confirmation. And that is the correct response. Madame de Stael. A brilliant writer, thinker, and political figure who was a fierce critic of Napoleon. A much more nuanced and specific answer that fits the historical context of the clue perfectly. Scott didn't just avoid the trap. He navigated the question with expertise. The room erupts in applause. This wasn't just a guess. It was a demonstration of deep knowledge. Now for the final piece of the puzzle, Scott's wager. He could have bet zero and still won with ease. But Scott isn't the type to play it safe. He wagered $8,800, a confident bet on his own knowledge. That brings his final total to a staggering $50,000. Not just a win, but a statement. It was a masterclass in gameplay dominant from the start, and intellectually sharp right up to the very end. An incredible performance by a truly deserving champion. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoy deep dives into moments like this, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss a video. See you next time. Next up, the camera swings over to Tom Devlin. He's going into final with a solid $19,000. It's not a guaranteed win, but it's a very strong position. The host makes a point to mention how impressive his game has been. He didn't find any daily doubles, no shortcuts, just pure knowledge and quick reflexes on that buzzer. Tom's answer is revealed. Who is Marie Antoinette? It's the same response, the same confident guess based on a famous historical figure. And just like before, it's incorrect. But this is where you see the strategy kick in. What was his wager? $0. Absolutely nothing. He took no risk, so he suffered no loss. He stays exactly where he started, at 19,000. This is a masterclass in gameplay. Sometimes, Final Jeopardy isn't about gaining more money. It's about making sure you don't lose what you've already earned. Tom remains completely calm. His expression barely flickers. He played the percentages, not the pressure of the moment. A truly smart move that keeps him in contention. Now, all eyes turn to the leader, Scott Riccardi. This is the moment we've all been waiting for. It's a commanding lead, what's often called a runaway game. It's enough to lock up the win if he plays it smart, and enough to survive even if he makes a mistake. Scott's response is revealed ... and what do you know? We have 3 incredibly brilliant players, 3 identical answers, and 3 incorrect responses. You can feel the tension in the studio. There's a dramatic pause as the host lets the moment sink in. Then simply, no. The host follows up with a crucial hint that changes everything. Another high-profile woman. Suddenly, the entire clue reframes itself in everyone's mind. The mental map just completely shifts. This wasn't a question about royalty or the lavish lifestyle of the monarchy. It was about revolution. Then, the correct response is revealed. Charlotte Corday. Now, that's a name that might be less famous than Marie Antoinette, but she is no less significant. She's remembered not for luxury or cake, but for a decisive, world-altering political act. You can almost see the flicker of recognition on the players' faces. That, of course, moment that always seems to arrive just 1 second too late. It's the kind of deep-cut knowledge that separates a great player from a champion. Finally, Scott's wager is revealed, and just like Tom, he bet $0. He didn't need to risk a single cent. His lead was so large that the safest play was to do nothing. His final score remains a staggering $41,200. That number stands, and with it, Scott Riccardi officially secures his spot in the Tournament of Champions finals. The audience erupts in applause. The host congratulates all 3 contestants on a fantastic game. It was clean, it was smart. And it was a perfect reminder that no matter how well you play, Final Jeopardy is never, ever easy. Take a look at this Final Jeopardy clue. The category, European history. The clue, her 1793 death is immortalized in a painting by Jacques-Louis David. Seems straightforward, right? 3 brilliant contestants, all staring at the same words. And for many of us watching at home, one name probably pops into our heads immediately. Marie Antoinette. Her story is legendary. The tales of excess, the famous misattributed quote about cake, her dramatic end during the French Revolution. It's all deeply ingrained in our collective memory. We see her in movies, read about her in books. She's a historical superstar. Because Final Jeopardy isn't a popularity contest, it's a test of precision. All 3 contestants, Allegra, Tom, and Scott, wrote down Marie Antoinette, and all 3 were wrong. Why? Because the clue wasn't just about a famous woman who died in 1793. It was about a specific death, immortalized in a specific iconic painting. The correct response was Charlotte Corday. Now, Charlotte Corday isn't a household name like Marie Antoinette. You won't find her face on souvenir tea towels. But in the context of the French Revolution, her act was monumental. She assassinated the radical journalist Jean-Paul Marat and Jacques-Louis David's painting. The death of Marat captures that very moment. The clue wasn't about royalty or revolution in general. It was about a specific pivotal event captured in art. What makes this moment so compelling is watching the different strategies collide with the same intellectual roadblock. Let's break it down. Allegra was in a distant third place. She wagered everything she had, a bold, aggressive move. It was her only path to victory. Even though her answer was wrong, her strategy was sound for her position. She played to win. Then there's Tom. He was in second place, without the benefit of a big daily double score. He opted for caution. He wagered 0, a brilliant defensive play. By betting nothing, he guaranteed he wouldn't lose his standing, hoping the leader might stumble. He protected his total, trusting that it might be enough if things got chaotic. And finally, Scott, the leader. He had a commanding lead. His goal wasn't to win more money. It was simply to not lose. He made a calculated, conservative wager designed to lock out his opponents, ensuring that even if he got it wrong and they got it right with a maximum bet, he would still come out on top. It was a textbook display of managing a lead. 3 different players, 3 different philosophies of the game: aggression, caution, and dominance. Each strategy was perfectly logical for their situation. And yet, every single one of them fell into the same trap. They all landed on the most obvious, most famous, but ultimately incorrect answer. This is what makes Final Jeopardy so incredible. It's not just a trivia question. It's a test of interpretation, nerve, and how you read between the lines. The clue wasn't flawed or intentionally misleading. It simply rewarded a deeper layer of knowledge beyond the surface-level facts we all learn in school. When the correct response, Charlotte Corday, was revealed, you could almost feel the collective ah moment. Not just from the contestants, but from everyone watching. It wasn't a shocking twist. It was a moment of sudden, satisfying clarity. It reminds us that in the world of Jeopardy, the most famous answer is rarely the right one. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed deep dives like this, be sure to subscribe for more. It's moments like this that explain why, after decades on the air, Jeopardy is still one of the most compelling shows on television. Think about it. There's no randomness here, no giant spinning wheel to determine your fate. There's no luck-based bonus round where you just hope for the best. It's pure knowledge, precise strategy, and a whole lot of pressure. And nothing boils the game down to its essence, quite like Final Jeopardy. One single clue. One chance to write down the right answer. And one crucial decision. How much are you willing to risk? In this particular game, the Final Jeopardy category was European history. Just those 2 words carry centuries of complexity. We're talking about revolutions that reshaped the world, philosophical movements that changed how we think, and seismic power shifts that still echo today. It's a category filled with names remembered for all the right reasons, and of course, for all the wrong ones. The clue itself centered on 2 historical figures, Marie Antoinette and Charlotte Corday. Now, both names are deeply tied to the French Revolution, but they represent entirely different things. Marie Antoinette symbolizes an era of royal excess and the old regime that was crumbling. Charlotte Corday, on the other hand, represents a dramatic, violent turning point within the revolution itself. She was a political actor who made a fatal decision. Knowing the difference between them isn't just a fun fact. In the context of this game, it's everything. Let's talk about the champion, Scott Riccardi. His performance throughout this game was nothing short of brilliant. It wasn't just about the impressive final score he racked up. It was about the incredible control he demonstrated from start to finish. Heading into Final Jeopardy with $41,200 is not just a big number. That total is the direct result of disciplined gameplay, razor-sharp recall on clue after clue, and maintaining a strong, confident pace across the entire board. He dominated the categories and found the daily doubles when it mattered most. That's how you build a lead that feels insurmountable. It was smart. That is textbook championship behavior. It is a masterclass in understanding the mechanics of the game just as well as you understand the facts. He looks at all 3 contestants and says, "Well played, all 3 of you." And he means it. Because it was a well-played game. There were no sloppy errors or wild, desperate guesses. It was simply a tough, demanding clue that required absolute clarity and precision under immense pressure. It's another opportunity for history to throw a curveball and surprise even the most well-prepared minds. And as the music fades, that unspoken lesson from Final Jeopardy always lingers in the air. On this stage, just knowing a famous name is never enough. You have to know the right one at the right time. That's what separates the great players from the legends. Thanks for watching, and be sure to subscribe for more deep dives into the best moments from the world of game shows. There's something truly fascinating about this moment from Jeopardy! We have three incredibly smart people, all confident, all thoughtful, and for a brief moment, all united by the very same assumption. It's a powerful reminder that expertise isn't just about having a vast memory bank. It's about how you frame information, how you build the narratives in your own mind. Think about European history. It's a massive tapestry filled with towering figures, kings, queens, generals, and revolutionaries. But not all of them fit neatly into the big, bold stories we usually tell ourselves. Take Charlotte Corday, for example. Her place in history isn't about leading armies or ruling nations. It's not loud. It's precise. A single pivotal act. And a Final Jeopardy, at its core, is a game that rewards that kind of precision above all else. What's brilliant here is that this clue didn't really trick anyone. It wasn't designed to be misleading. It simply asked for a deeper level of recall, to look past the most obvious names and access a more specific detail. And when the correct answer was finally revealed, it had that feeling of being completely inevitable. You almost slap your forehead and think, of course, it had to be her. That's the real hallmark of a great question, isn't it? The kind that teaches you something new or makes a connection for you, even in hindsight. Scott Riccardi's performance here is a masterclass. His advancement to the Tournament of Champions finals is so well earned. And it's not just because he got this one game right, it's about how he handled the pressure. You see no panic in his expression, no wild overreaching guess, just a steady, quiet confidence in his knowledge. And that's exactly the kind of thing that keeps us, the viewers, glued to our screens. It's the human drama of high-stakes knowledge. Because every Final Jeopardy, no matter how quickly it unfolds, carries its own little story. Sometimes that story is about a spectacular triumph, a huge wager paying off. Sometimes it's about strategic restraint, knowing when to hold back and play it safe. And then there are moments like this. Moments that are about the quiet, stunning realization that history, no matter how well we think we know it, still has a few surprises left up its sleeve. It proves that learning is a lifelong journey. And sometimes the most profound lessons come in the form of a 30-second trivia question. Scott's journey through the tournament has been a testament to his depth of knowledge and his calm demeanor under fire. It's one thing to know the answer. It's another to be able to access it when everything is on the line. This particular Final Jeopardy question about Charlotte Corday perfectly illustrates the difference between broad knowledge and specific pinpoint recall. The other contestants, brilliant as they are, likely cycled through more prominent female figures of the French Revolution, Marie Antoinette, Olympe de Gouges. Their minds went to the rulers and the writers, the more common touchstones of the period. But the clue's wording was the key. It honed in on a specific violent act and its perpetrator. It required a contestant to shift their mental framework from famous women of the era to figures known for a single, defining action. Scott made that mental leap. His wager showed his confidence, not just in his answer, but in his interpretation of the clue itself. He didn't just know a fact. He understood the question being asked. This is what makes the Tournament of Champions so compelling. It elevates the game beyond simple trivia. It becomes a battle of minds, of strategy, and of mental agility. Each contestant has a library of information in their head, but victory often comes down to who has the best cataloging system. Who can find the right book, the right page, the right sentence in the few seconds they're given. As we watch Scott move on to the finals, we're not just rooting for a player. We're celebrating a way of thinking. We're appreciating the dedication it takes to not just learn facts, but to connect them, to understand their context, and to retrieve them with grace under pressure. It's a reminder that true intelligence isn't just about what you know, but how you know it. And for that, Scott Riccardi has more than earned his spot. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this breakdown, be sure to like and subscribe for more. When the lights dim and the music swells for Final Jeopardy, it feels like more than just a game show. It's a moment of truth, not just for the contestants, but for everyone watching at home. And every so often, a clue comes along that does more than decide a winner. It sticks with you. It plants a seed. That's what we were talking about today, one of those moments, where a single question about European history became a quiet but powerful lesson. Imagine the category, European history, a vast, sprawling subject. The contestants place their wagers, their faces a mix of confidence and apprehension. Then the clue is revealed. It isn't about Napoleon or Queen Elizabeth. It's something more subtle, a name or an event tucked away in the footnotes of the past. A figure whose impact was immense but whose story is often overshadowed. As the contestants scribble down their responses, you can almost feel the gears turning in millions of minds across the country. Who was that? What did they do? Why don't I know more about this? And that's the magic, isn't it? The game transcends being a simple trivia contest. Whether the contestants get it right or wrong almost becomes secondary. The real victory is that spark of curiosity. After the show, you might find yourself reaching for your phone, not to check social media, but to look up a name. You fall down a rabbit hole of articles and documentaries, piecing together a story you never knew existed. You revisit a chapter of history you thought was closed, only to find new rooms and hidden corridors. History, as Jeopardy so often reminds us, isn't a static collection of facts and dates. It's a living, breathing narrative, full of layers and nuance. It's a complex tapestry woven with the threads of countless lives. And while we often focus on the most prominent, brightly colored threads, there are so many others that give the whole picture its strength and depth. These are the figures who mattered, the events that quietly shaped our world, even if their names aren't always the first to come to mind. They are the supporting characters who, upon closer inspection, were often the protagonists of their own incredible stories. This particular clue was a perfect example. It dealt with a moment of quiet diplomacy, a decision made behind closed doors that rippled through decades of European politics. It wasn't a bloody battle or a grand coronation, but its consequences were just as profound. By shining a spotlight on it, the show did more than test knowledge. It invited us to reconsider our understanding of power and influence. It reminded us that history is often made not with a bang, but with a whisper, a signed treaty, a quiet alliance, a principled stand that goes unnoticed by the masses, but changes the course of nations. So, as the credits rolled on that episode, the impact of the clue lingered. It was a gentle nudge, a challenge to look deeper. Final Jeopardy, in these moments, becomes a mirror. It reflects not just what we know, but what we don't know, and more importantly, what we're capable of learning. It's a lesson in humility and a celebration of lifelong curiosity. In that game, European history spoke softly, but its message carried immense weight. It reminded us that the past is always there, waiting to be rediscovered, ready to offer new perspectives if we're just willing to ask the right questions. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this reflection, consider subscribing for more deep dives into the stories behind the facts. See you next time. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving deep into one of those Jeopardy moments that will go down in the history books. We're talking about a Final Jeopardy that was so tense, so unexpected, it had everyone on the edge of their seats. This wasn't just about winning or losing. It was about psychology, strategy, and a single shared answer that changed everything. So let's set the stage. We're in the Champions Wildcard Tournament, and the stakes couldn't be higher. We have our three contestants, Scott Riccardi, Tim Moon, and Lisa Schreiken. Heading into Final Jeopardy, the scores are tight. Scott is in the lead with $22,000. Tim is hot on his heels with 20,600. And Lisa is still very much in the game with 14,400. It's a classic Jeopardy setup where anyone could potentially walk away the winner. The category for Final Jeopardy is historic groups, a broad, challenging category that could go in 100 different directions. The clue is read, in 2023, the last four surviving members of a group that had more than 1,100 at its 1941 peak all met at a reunion in Hawaii. Now, take a second and think about it. What's your first instinct? Hawaii, 1941. The immediate, almost automatic answer that jumps into most people's minds is Pearl Harbor. It's one of the most significant events in American history, and the location and date line up perfectly. That seems like the most logical, most obvious answer. And that's exactly where the drama begins. Let's look at the wagers. Lisa, in third place, bets it all. A bold move, but a necessary one if she wants to win. She needs to double up and hope the others get it wrong. Tim, in second, wagers 10,600. This is a strategic bet. If he gets it right, he'll be at 31,200, putting him ahead of Scott's current score. Scott, our leader, wagers $19,201. A very specific number. This is a classic cover bet. He's betting just enough to beat Tim by $1, assuming Tim bets everything and gets it right. It's a textbook play to secure the win if he knows the answer. So the wagers are locked in. The tension is palpable. Ken Jennings goes to Lisa first. She reveals her answer. What are the Pearl Harbor survivors? It's the answer we all thought of. It seems so right. But then we see her final score, 0. It's incorrect. A tough break, but her all-in bet was the right play from her position. Next up, Tim. He wagered a significant amount. What are you right? What are the Pearl Harbor survivors? The exact same answer, and the exact same result. His score drops, and a wave of shock goes through the studio and everyone watching at home. Two contestants, both confident in the same logical answer, both wrong. The most obvious response, the one that seemed like a slam dunk, wasn't the correct one. Now, all eyes are on Scott Riccardi. He's the only one left. Remember his wager? $19,201. A bet designed to win if he gets it right. He has the lead, but if he wrote down the same answer as Tim and Lisa, he would lose it all. The entire game hinges on this single moment. Did he fall into the same trap? Ken reveals Scott's answer. What are the Doolittle Raiders? Correct. The Doolittle Raiders. A group of incredibly brave airmen who conducted a daring raid on Japan in 1942, just months after the attack on Pearl Harbor. The clue was a masterclass in misdirection. The 1941 peak referred to when the group was formed and trained, while Pearl Harbor is the more famous event tied to that time and place. The Doolittle Raiders were the correct answer. Scott's strategic bet paid off, and his knowledge under pressure won him the game, advancing him in the tournament. But this Final Jeopardy will be remembered for so much more than just his win. It will be remembered for that shared, incorrect answer. For the quiet tension as we watch two contestants make the same logical leap, only to fall short. It's a powerful reminder that in Jeopardy, and maybe in life, the most obvious path isn't always the right one. Sometimes you have to look past the surface to find the real answer. What an incredible game. It just goes to show you that even after all these years, Jeopardy still has the power to surprise us, to challenge us, and to create moments of television that are truly unforgettable. Thanks for watching, and be sure to subscribe for more deep dives into the best moments from the world of game shows. See you next time.